Stop me if you've heard this one before. In 476, barbarians laid waste the city of Rome, and the West fell into 1,000 years of darkness, where all knowledge was forgotten, and life became nasty, brutish, and short. Well, to that I say, This video was brought to you by Useful Charts. Yes, that Useful Charts. I've been working with the owner, Matt Baker, on his YouTube channel for about a year and a half, and on top of making some really cool videos on family histories, his charts were like my only piece of decor in my college apartment. I love getting ready in the morning and being like, ooh, I wonder who that person is. I'll be using one of his charts in this video, and if you want to pick up a copy, you can go to usefulcharts.com or follow the link in the description. So the year is 450-ish, and there's two Romes that are technically the same country. One in the west with its capital in Ravenna for some reason, and one in the east with its capital in Constantinople. Ravenna's on the fast track to desolation, but Constantinople's taking the scenic route. The Eastern Emperor dies, and this guy Aspar wants to be in charge, but he's the wrong kind of Christian, so he's not allowed to be emperor, so he puts a couple old dudes with no sons in charge so he can swap them out every couple years while he stays as the real head honcho. One of those emperors is named Leo, and in addition to looking like a Ryan George thumbnail, he's not cool with Aspar and his German friends calling the shots. So he hires a bunch of bodyguards from Asian Sparta, and one of them tattles on Aspar and his son. The two of them get the axe, and Leo says, "Congratulations, my boy, what is your name?" And he says, "My name is Tarassus Caudissa Rosumbladariotis." And Leo says, "Holy shit, no, how about Zeno? That is also cool." And Zeno marries the emperor's daughter. So Zeno's son takes over after Leo dies, but then he dies, and hey presto, Asian Spartan bodyguard man is now in charge of the Roman Empire. And he's like, decent, but everyone kind of hates him because Asian Sparta was actually this place here called Isauria, and everyone thought the Isaurians were foreigners even though they were part of the empire for 500 years. Basically, everybody thought he was a hick. So then a whole bunch of people lead a revolt against him, and this is usually the part where everyone wants names and dates and has no idea what's going on, and that is where this week our sponsor comes to save the day. Behold, a convenient chart to demonstrate the relationships between members of the royal family that also happens to include every single Roman emperor between Augustus and Maurice. Isn't that useful? Charts.com. So at the head of this revolt is Zeno's mother-in-law, Verina. She and her brother Basiliscus are working together to take down Zeno and replace him with, Verina's lover, Patricius. They also get two generals to help out, an Isaurian named Ilus and a guy named Theodoric Strabo, who was a Byzantine general but also part of the Ostrogothic royal family. Just picture Aragorn and you're good. There was also another general, but he doesn't really matter because this is getting complicated enough as it is. The plot ends up being successful because Zeno has no friends, and then Basiliscus decides to ruin literally everything and make so many enemies I had to make a list. Verina kills her lover, takes the throne for himself. Then he lets a mob run through the city and kill all the Isaurians, so there's Ilus pissed off. And then for Theodoric, Basiliscus decides that the best co-general for him would be his nephew, who had previously sent Theodoric the severed hands of his comrades when he rebelled a few years ago, but whose most memorable military accomplishment was parading around town cosplaying as Achilles. So with everyone fighting each other and half of Basiliscus' friends switching sides, by the time Zeno showed up at Constantinople with an army in 476, the Senate just opens the gates and invites him in. Basiliscus runs to a church for shelter and makes Zeno swear before Jesus that he won't spill his blood. And Zeno, being a compassionate man, upholds his promise by locking Basiliscus in a cistern until he died of exposure. Speaking of 476, within like 2 weeks of becoming emperor again, guess what? The Western Empire fell. Except, guess what? Hot take, not exactly. What actually happened is that one of the generals got tired of a different general taking over Italy every year and decided to take over Italy. Odoacer, the guy who took over, he may have been a Goth, but he was living in Italy and part of the Roman army. In fact, the Roman Senate, you know, that thing allegedly created by Romulus in 753 BC and perhaps the only institution to survive in some meaningful form throughout the entirety of Rome's existence, they supported Odoacer, and in fact, he made them stronger. The guy he replaced wasn't even recognized outside of Italy. It's not like everybody just stopped being Roman as soon as a German took over. They'd already had emperors born in Gaul and Africa. The only thing that changed was that he technically unified the empire by making Zeno the sole emperor of Rome, while Odoacer operated mostly independently as a vassal. Eventually, he started using the word king, which was a big no-no ever since the Republic, but you know what else was a big no-no for hundreds of years? Christianity! Anyway, Zeno's not super happy about it, but there's not a whole lot he can do because right on his doorstep is a very powerful Ostrogothic kingdom that isn't super friendly, ruled by a man also named Theodoric. Well, since getting his enemies to fight each other worked so well last time, Zeno sends his own Theodoric out to fight him, except when they run into each other, they team up and demand more land. Zeno then falls back on the oldest strategy known to Rome, pay your problems away. He can't bribe Theo I and Theo II to fight each other, so he invites the Bulgars to do it for him. But then, Theodoric the general wins and is about to open up a can of whoop-ass on Zeno when he accidentally impales himself with a spear. So then Theodoric the king shows up and Zeno cries, "Do it to the west, not me, do it to Julia!" And it kind of worked. I mean, Theodoric Red Wedding Odoacer and became twice as powerful, but he actually left the Eastern Empire alone. Meanwhile, Christianity is tearing itself apart because no one understands the Trinity, and Zeno somehow manages to make things worse by simultaneously picking a side while also refusing to make any kind of meaningful theological statement. And then he died, and he had a brother who was supposed to be next, but Zeno's wife hated him, and his brother, and so she put this guy Anastasius in charge, but the point is, Zeno's dead, and that's as far as I can go before this episode gets way too expensive. But I already made a video on the Useful Charts channel where I go through the entire history of the Byzantine Empire. Once again, you can pick up a copy of this beautiful Roman Emperor's chart, or this timeline of world history, or any other European or Asian family tree, heck, anything else from the alphabet to the tree of life at usefulcharts.com. Thanks for watching.